How how long did it
Yeah,
take to come up with this?
it's second version.
Second version? Oh God, like we gotta really zoom in here. So it says here the goal is to meet. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. The purpose is to meet, actually. Alrighty, guys. Welcome to the AI online dating podcast. We are pioneering the discussion at the uncharted intersection of artificial intelligence and online dating. We do this by hosting a panel of experts across the fields of AI and online dating. And it's all because the future of dating is going to be pretty different in the next few years. Who knows? Maybe in 5 years, we'll have the greatest advancements of robot girlfriends since the invention of the vacuum cleaner. Let me know your theories in the comments on the future of AI and dating, and I'll read the most absurd one in the next episode. We might as well do some fun like that. So here's how we're gonna get started. We're gonna do 20-second intros for each of you guys. If you could tell us your name, your company, and what you're working on, and which team you're on. So just to explain how that works, because we are the AI online dating podcast. If you are a dating app founder, for example, you would simply be dating. If you're an AI expert, for example, you'll just be AI. If you're, for example, part of a dating app company that uses AI in some kind of way, then you're both. So if you're in the middle where you use AI and online dating or dating, then you're both. Something like that. So let's have Ram first.
Okay, hi, I'm Ram. I do applied AI systems. So I design machine learning and AI systems and help companies, especially smaller companies, transition and benefit from advancements in AI in their line of business.
Well, yeah, I'm Alex. I'm in middle on dating and AI products. I'm running some of AI projects, and now I'm working on AI assistant for datings.
Nice. Mitchell?
Yeah, so I'm Mitchell. I'm Team Dating. I'm the founder and CEO of KiKi, a queer social network that aims to tackle dating in a subversive and more human manner.
Nice. So question for all of you guys, of course, so jump in whenever. What do you think the future of dating will look like as a result of AI technology? A big question, but let's see what we can kind of say here.
Okay, so I don't think there will be a huge change. The machine learning has been a part of dating services for a while now. Like I myself gave a talk on machine learning in dating, 6 or 7 years ago at a conference. Remember, that was about the time when Facebook was rumored to be entering into the dating services market. Not much has changed since then. In fact, one of the pioneers of applying machine learning for these kinds of problems is the Match Group, eHarmony and Match.com. They used to have questionnaires that you would fill out like 36 dimensions or something, and they would match people based on answers to those kinds of questions. And that was all statistics and machine learning. It has been around. It will continue to be around. The difference now will be there's more generative AI, more content, more profiles that could be potentially fake or generated by a bot or representing a bot as opposed to a person. So except for that noise, which will also hopefully gradually decrease over time, I don't see a huge difference that's going to happen. Eventually, it's people who have to date, people who have to meet people, and that won't change anytime soon, right? So I don't
Oh,
expect a huge difference.
we're gonna get into that. I think we're we'll see. We'll get into that later. It doesn't have to be humans. I'll just say that at this time. I think where it comes to Facebook, Facebook has made huge mistakes. Like Facebook has really declined in its features, to say the least. I'm a big time user since the early days, maybe 2008 or something. But I just went through support today because they made the follower count on Facebook profiles disappear, and that annoys me. And support was useless, but they did come up with Facebook dating, but I'm married, so it doesn't show to me. I think since it depends on your relationship status, whether it shows for you or not. But apparently it does exist. I just think they have made a huge miss with that because we were talking about that on the last episode, how they had so much potential to effectively become a dating app in some kind of form, or at least add that section to the purpose. And if you watched the Social Network movie from however many years ago, I remember that scene where he gets that idea. She doesn't go around with a sign on her back saying she's single. And then he came up with, well, or at least this is what the movie says. I don't know the true story. And then he comes up with the feature that shows your relationship status. So yeah, I think they made a huge miss with that. But there are just so many things going on, it's kind of hard to keep up. But anyway, what are your other guys' thoughts on the future of AI and online dating? Mitchell?
Alex, do you want to go first?
Oh yeah, why not? So I hope that the AI could help in I would say um, dating problem when you just waste your time on swiping or messaging and ghosting moments, and the AI just can help you to choose the right match for your purpose.
Hmm. I think we should spice this up a bit. So, do you think AI can lead to marriage, guys? Do you think AI can lead to marriage?
Yeah, I think it can. Yeah,
How?
do the unmute
Just
thing.
just with right algorithms and purpose and times and tests and understands that it could work.
Yeah.
I
So,
agree.
yeah, go ahead.
I think it could work, but that's like, I think AI could lead to marriage in the same way that if I go out to the same bar in my local neighborhood every night, that it could also lead to marriage by proxy of eventually bumping into someone that is right for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, what
Yeah,
if I told you that one person here got married because of AI? I'm referring to Aleksandr Zhadan. So he was in the news for this. I'll just read a few headlines because it can be pretty funny. The guy who used ChatGPT to talk to 5,000 women on Tinder. That's one headline. Russian man uses ChatGPT for online dating, says it helped him find his wife. Can you tell us your story?
Long story short, it was 2 years ago that I already um, stopped my relationships with my ex, and I started uh, 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 I would say a new part of relationship, and I see that it's hard. Just I need to like work at the second job, that I need to swipe, I need to message, I need to wait, and every time I need to be as emotional as I can, and it's truly hard. And I realize that it's it's really a big trouble to find the right person. And I had some of dates and realized that it's not okay for me or for a person, and etc. And I just shared the story with my friends, and while we was playing Fortnite, some of them just shared, hmm, I agree with you that it's hard to find love in Tinder or in different dating, but mm, have you heard about GPT 3.0? And I, what? And at that moment, this guy just shared with me some articles about GPT-3, and he started project for dating automatization that at every steps it just worked like a robot, but with good steps like okay, it's been a lot of um, right swipes as like, but when uh, mm, it was like match, uh, GPT started conversation, but it was not as me, and it was strange because guys, I would think that you can definitely reveal where is text written by human and where is written by AI, and it was I would say for me strange, but for some of women with I started conversation was maybe okay or not okay, and we understand that it must be reworked or upgraded, and because of my previous conversation, um, I just downloaded lots of dialogues examples as how I answered for what questions and etc. And how my algorithm will be worked. And mm, it was way better because it's already um, GPT 3.5 with my database examples, with my um, some of, I would say, examples what I don't want to see or text. And mm, at that moment, I see that, wow, it it works way better just because ChatGPT or different AI on question just like um, where did you study? Can answer whatever it
How
can.
exactly did you design the messaging then? Did you train the AI to send particular messages according to some rules?
It was parser with ChatGPT database because imagine when I got a question or just message, and if its message contains some of uh, texts that uh, already in database, like about study or work or hobbies or something else, or movies, series, music. It answered based on database information. But if it is not, it can answer like ChatGPT with basic prompt like you are a man and you want to have a chat and etc.
Alrighty. It's funny because I run MGAI, which is the AI wingman for online dating. So the kind of rules, by the way, for any guys wondering what the hell's going on here, like what was going on before we started filming, this is the second edition plans for my book. It was a bestseller in online dating digital communication. And some of the rules of messaging were skip the bullshit, which is effectively, yeah, exactly. effectively, instead of seeing things like how are you, blah 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 blah, things that don't matter, it just gets straight to the point. The second rule, and this is from the book, this was before I even knew anything about AI. The book was released in 2020 and released in 2019, so AI came later in my own timeline. But the second rule is lead. The fact that you as a man need to lead the conversation with the woman you're interacting with, instead of waiting for the opportunity and trying to gain enough confidence to make the move to ask for her phone number, to ask her out, for example. And then the third rule is meet. And it's ultimately that the purpose is, the entire purpose of messaging is to meet, because you could talk about getting to know each other so much, so much, and so much, but the better way to do that is when you actually meet each other in person and get to know each other, because the digital world, the virtual world, is completely different from the physical world. So it kind of makes me wonder, how did you kind of make sure that the AI you were using was designed to filter out the people you would have wanted to filter out, and swipe right on those who you would have wanted to swipe right on? How did you manage to do that?
Um, it combined first view and chats. Like when you see profile, and it can analyze uh, bio and first photo by charm. Yeah, PyTorch. So, and because of that, I just had in um, vision model, like I don't want to have a conversation with person uh, who
You
has
you sent me an image of a flowchart, a crazy
can,
flowchart. Could I show that? And you could kind of talk through it.
yeah, sure.
Let's see here. The crazy flowchart. So just to like take it all in, how crazy this is. It is gigantic. How how long did it
Yeah,
take to come up with
it's
this?
second version.
Second version? Oh God, like we gotta really zoom in here. So it says here, the goal is to meet. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. The purpose is to meet, actually. That's kind of funny. The goal is to meet cool girls through Tinder Gold. So you did use a subscription. A total of 4,943 matches have been formed. The dialogue continued on Tinder, and now you understand that this was overkill. So that's pretty cool. So stage one, swiping. Yeah, this is what we're getting at. Recognition of a girl's photo on Tinder using torch vision, trained on your swipes. I don't know how to explain this now, but yeah, visual recognition of a Tinder profile photo. You don't like photos with flowers? Is that the thing?
Yeah, because of just imagine that a lot of women who has photo with flowers is narcissism, or just has plastic.
Oh, okay. So, you're kind of making an assumption that if she has flowers, it's a bit of a red flag for you, or she's possibly more of that Instagram type,
Yeah,
something like that, or she expects you to get her things. Am I getting that kind of right?
yeah, it's could be right, and yeah, I definitely agree with you.
Okay, interesting. Approval based on the data you provided, I suppose. Um, yeah, oh, here's a good one. Filtering, if she has no bio, then left swipe, I imagine. Less than two photos. Very interesting. Yeah, this is basically my rule is, if or I'm married now, so don't quote me on that. My rule was if she has less than free, stop smiling. If she has less than free photos, I won't even bother swiping right. So yeah, this is crazy. I completely agree with that. That was my system. I don't chat here. Message me on it. Oh my God, man, you were doing the same thing. I haven't looked at this completely before, actually. Only super briefly. And location, yeah, that's crazy. That is almost identical to my kind of filtering system, only that I wasn't using AI. I was just manually doing it. That's good. That's very interesting. Just to have a little look here. Analysis by GPT-4. Then you set it to get a notification on Telegram. Okay, I'm not sure what that refers to.
Moment when you just has not profile like Tinder offer, or you must choose one of from four cards, or your activity like seems not normal, or etc. And then you
Yeah.
must to
Yeah,
set
to
up that
avoid
it's not like that.
suspicion from
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Damn, and that's only the first line. We're probably we won't go through all of this, but just super briefly. Messaging on Tinder, okay. You switch the script, match, or I guess you run the script, I don't know. Let's just see what it says here. The goal is to start a conversation and stop the conversation with those you think it is unlikely to establish a good relationship. Interesting. Yeah, very nice. If the conversation is going well, you can switch to Telegram, effectively switching phone numbers for those who do that, or WhatsApp in other countries. Okay. Do. It writes an opener. You write that you like the photos of her. You're getting to know. Okay. Okay, I see this. Are there 60 messages? So was this the only thing you could, or checkpoint you put in place to then proceed to Telegram?
Uh, yeah, because of in chat function, there is some of rules like where you see some abnormal context that you don't want to see. And if there is already a 60 message, it's totally okay to move to Telegram.
Okay, interesting. Why not less than 60? 60 seems a bit much.
Not much, but I would say that it's maybe little more than you start conversation. But I just realized, based on my previous conversations in Tinder, that about 50, 60, 70 messages, that is already enough to switch to Telegram, because you have already emotional intelligence between your match.
Yeah, she's already invested in other words. Yeah, very interesting actually. So by setting the bar relatively high, there's a lot of what we could call compliance in that she is responding. So if she's responding, she'll probably respond to going on Telegram, going further, and then the responsiveness can continue because the track record so far has been that it is going forward. So yeah, that's kind of super interesting to me, because my system, not an AI system, I was back in my day getting phone numbers within 4 messages, or I say 2 messages in terms of 2 of my own messages, but that would mean 4 messages between 2 people. So that's fascinating though. Then writes a reply to, all right, if there aren't 60 messages, yeah, it just keeps the conversation going so that you eventually get to 60. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's interesting. Okay, cool. And here's a super big one, but only to briefly go with that. So your whole, how was your profile at least? Was your profile using, so this is your messaging and your swiping using AI, but did your photos use AI and did your bio use AI?
Nah, I just I have I would say not Instagram background as it um so previous, but yeah, I love take photos, and I have enough photos of me, and I can share just true info about myself in bio.
Hmm, I see. Right, yeah, so it's necessary to understand and realize where it's worth continuing the conversation. For this, ChatGPT spoke with goals for my behalf on Telegram. For some period of time, I asked for a meeting. After 2 to 3 meetings with one, a relationship or regular meetings began or moved to the friend zone. This is some super legitimate technical dating stuff. This is wonderful. If I was satisfied, this is so good. If I was satisfied, then I continue to communicate with the goal to establish a relationship. Nice. And constantly called for meetings or accepted invitations. Cool. So conversations on Telegram, also with AI. Yes, there's a lot here, but where does it lead? It's like a maze of stuff. Let's just see. Date proposal.
Yeah,
Okay.
after 130 messages on Telegram, that is date proposal.
Wait, so when it says mute mode, does that mean that when you're on a date, it will stop giving you those notifications about your other dates?
It's mute for writing message for different person, and for person who just with whom I have date.
Hmm. Oh, damn, there's a lot. Where does it go? Where does it go? Where's the end here? Oh my God, it's crazy. Wow. Okay, so ultimately the goal is to get a relationship. Okay, are there free meetings? Yes. Continue dating. Okay. Wow. Okay. To communicate, you need to write that you're busy and will not be able to communicate for the first few days. Is this a rejection or a test or something?
I would say it could be a rejection, like you just understand that it's not your match, and you just
Hmm.
can't understand why, but you understand that it's okay to continue conversations in some friend mode, and um, don't move on.
All right, this one's continued, so I imagine that means 4 hour
But
slot in Google Calendar. I love
yeah,
it. That's crazy, man. Oh, that's wonderful. So I used to use, well, I used Google Calendar, but I didn't put like a 4 hour slot. I just put the all day thing. No time limit. That's crazy. That's nice though. And then it types a message. Yes, let's do it. Very simple. I can at this time. I can on, yeah, particular time. Check her response. Wow, this is, where does it end? I'm trying to find like I guess it's just a
uh,
loop or something.
I would say that, and for persons that it's stop the chat, bottom right.
Right here. Stop the chat.
Almost. Just yes. Stop the chat with friends mode. It's and with whom I understand that it's totally not okay. But if it's okay, we just continue.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. I guess at some point you have to take over from AI. It's like if you really like her. So how did it work with your wife? How long have you been married now?
We don't marry now. We just plan our wedding, and it will be at August.
Nice, nice. Crazy. So
Congratulations.
yeah, there we go. I gotta ask you this question then. So how did you break it to her that she was talking to AI all along? Or did AI do that too?
Mm, almost after a year of our session conversation, of our start, I just revealed that Karina, we must talk about something.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, and I just shared her that I used ChatGPT in our uh, messages, and she was shocked. She asked a lot of questions, but she realized that how it helped us to build our relationships, because after I just use ChatGPT for messaging like me, I use only for Karina ChatGPT to advise me how to communicate better. Because already at that time I used mm, I wrote message only myself, and based on couldn't remember about 3 days or some amount of messages. I got Telegram messages about GPT advice how to improve our conversations based on analyze of our conversation.
Hmm.
And yeah, Karina understands that it okay, it already has been, but she see me how I communicate with her, how we spend time together, and we understand that messaging is only one part of relationships, and there is a lot of moments that we must analyze that it's necessary for us, and in other parts it was only me because I'm a real person.
Yeah, so I imagine because there's a distinction. So a lot of people say the internet isn't real, or in some kind of form, they say that there's a distinction very clearly between the physical world and the virtual world, and your uh comforter, I imagine, gonna be in the fact that our physical world relationship is real, and the virtual thing, all the messaging, all the chat GPT assistance helped us facilitate this, and the physical world relationship is what actually matters. Like that would be my kind of argument, and that's the way I see it, because just like both of us agree on the purpose is to meet, and you said the goal is to meet, so ultimately I wouldn't think it matters so much. I can understand it can be a huge surprise, very crazy, very interesting actually, and like a whole elaborate design, very nicely made to put that forward. Yeah, go ahead.
So how would you say, Ice, is this different from like back in the day, people using books to help improve their personality or conversation skills
Well,
in a
books are
group?
good. Yeah, like I imagine the best way to improve your personality skills, your conversation skills, is actually practicing. So me, for example, you might think my voice is pretty good, but when I was growing up, and only just a few years ago still, I had a very weak voice. I can't even speak so much when I drink orange juice for the rest of the day. That's how weak my voice naturally is. But what I did to improve that, for example, is going out to nightclubs 2 or 3 times a week while I was dating actively and literally shouting at people. That's just a joke, but when there's a lot of music, you do have to be loud and break those sound barriers, if you will. Make yourself heard. But I would stand outside in the smoking areas and talk to people for hours. And that's how I practice strengthening my voice.
So no, what I was asking is, Alex used GPT and coding skills to set up conversations and to improve his own conversational abilities, right?
Yeah. Well,
Back in the day, people would have pulled a book and tried to learn from the book how to do the same things.
yeah, that could be a good argument. However, I do see that there's a difference between reading a book and learning and using ChatGPT to do it. So a book doesn't do it for you, it teaches you. But ChatGPT could teach you too. But to actually do the messaging for you, that's another step to it. So the fact that it's automating an entire action.
No, so this is effectively what the dating app is supposed to do. When it presents you with a new potential match, it is supposed to consider, or you expect it to consider your past usage of the app and your preferences in the app, and give you matches which progressively get more tuned to your preferences, right? So what Alex did is effectively accelerate that process by doing it himself, which is kudos to you, Alex. That's amazing job, by the way.
Yeah, pretty crazy. How long did it take you to put all of that together just to show again how elaborate this is? That's a lot of work right there.
I would say that we spent about a year from the idea to last version to make advised.
Yeah. What so when exactly did that start? Was it late 2022?
Not late. It was end of summer 2022.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was before
Ahead of the curve. Yeah.
user versions of ChatGPT. It was only GPT free by API.
All right, let's look at this proposal for a date here. Looking for a free hour slot in Google Calendar. There we go. 148 restaurants in Moscow or St. Petersburg. Interesting. I imagine you might have been traveling between the two. Nice railway for you. Would you like to have a meal together at place on this? This is crazy. This is so similar. It's the fact that it's I know this is translated in your case in most cases. But the simplicity of it is how it works. Well, not how it works, but because it's so simple, it removes all the fat from it and makes it more straightforward to comply with, to follow. So the simpler, it's like Occam's razor. The simpler the explanation is normally the better explanation, something along those lines. Very interesting. Booking a free hour slot. Great. Then see you there. As simple as that. That's crazy. Wow. Let's see what else is here. Okay, wait. Send a message through something about timing and number. Wait, are you trying to do less words and take longer to reply? Is that the logic behind this?
No, it's more about dating suspicion that just imagine ChatGPT can answer for instance, sound 1,000 characters in just short time. But
Yeah.
when I can do it, I will write it for way longer, and it better to calculate time of characters in by that formula.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so so I imagine when this is happening, it says, or at least on Telegram, for example, it says typing. Is that what happens? So
Sorry?
so for example, if this is done through Telegram, it says, let's say it's writing a paragraph, it says typing, like as if you are typing for like 15 seconds, 20 seconds, however long.
Yeah. And you can see some of dots or
Mm.
something like that just like me just typing.
Yeah, but how does it work out with she sent a message 2 hours after or not your message, your ChatGPT message. She sent a message 2 hours after you. Does ChatGPT then send it 3 hours after her message to kind of make sure the timing and doesn't
Ah,
message her at 2 a.m., for example?
it's it's more like active user that when you just get a message after 2 hours waiting, you just could be already online and answered the message in 1 or 2 minutes after.
Okay. Okay, yours. I don't chat here or message me on. Wait, what? I
Yeah,
don't chat here or message me on Instagram. Zodiac sign. So these are turnoffs. So I agree with zodiac sign. Unemployed, no money, religious. Fair enough. Well, my wife is Catholic actually. So for me, it's actually good. I'm an atheist, by the way. Um, Religion can have its benefits, especially in terms of loyalty. That's very interesting though. Behaves very differently from your parents. This is very interesting. You're very clear on what you want and what you don't want. Very clearly defined. And that's how you need to be when you're training AI to decide what to do and define what it needs to do. Contradicts your goals or does not accept what is okay. That's fascinating. Can we also get, you sent me some other images. Can we go through those too?
image of
This
what?
one, for example.
Yeah. It's our start of conversations with Karina.
All right, so this is your bride to be, and these are the real messages, but translated.
Yeah.
Okay. You became a couple, or I guess that means you matched on that date. You have a super atmosphere in your photo. Thank you. Nice to hear because you also have beautiful style in photos. Tell me what fun stuff has happened to you lately. Went to Dagestan, South Russia. I know where it is. For 3 days, just came back. Came back impressed by the views. How do you feel about such short trips? Not far from Moscow. That is far from Moscow. Not really. Oh, that's really cool. I also went to visit Doug. Want to visit sometime. How was your day? Oh, is this someone else? Yeah.
Yeah, it's someone else like examples of difference between girlfriends.
Okay. All good. Worked, then did some sport. Which book you're reading? Very much still unclear. Do you like to read? Yes. Oh, wait. You're putting the quotation marks in there. That's a giveaway. That's ChatGPT, right? That's a giveaway for me, at least. How interestingly you choose books. Nice that you notice my books. Always try to choose something interesting, thought-provoking. Haven't talked in a while. Okay, this is like a second ping. Ah, yeah, message that reactivated the chat. Okay, we haven't talked in a while. Hope all is well with you. So what was the time difference? 23 January. That was a few months later. So I imagine, yeah, okay. Been a while, all is good. How about you? Busy at work? Get some free time. Did you finish it? Okay. Tinder bot. Dinner with person. All right, so this is how you get okay, how you get the notifications of where you should go and when. All right, so you have to approve, maybe not each message, but manually approve each date that is scheduled.
Dates already, I would say automatic approves, but messages must be approved by myself. Like when ChatGPT realizes that it can't work properly, I can get notifications that I want to send a message like that. Do you approve it? And if I approve it, it's okay. But if not, I must rewrite it and send it.
Nice. Yeah, that's a summary one. Go through here.
Yeah, it's scam of the last version when I just use ChatGPT for not be message sender like message advisor.
Hmm.
And
Always
yeah,
there for
and
you.
it was the moment when I just when, for instance, I can't reply for message about more than 30 minutes, ChatGPT can answer for myself.
Okay. Tell me what happened. Maybe okay. Used to get rid of the stress. Okay. And let's see here. I gotta move this up. Wait, there we go. Meeting, there we go, 29 December.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Propose to Karina to get married, emphasizing that your relationship is balanced and strong. Explain that you value the time you spend together, pay attention to each other's feelings, and share the little things of everyday life. Express the desire to strengthen your relationship through marriage, emphasizing that it is a step towards creating a future together. Mention how you imagine her happy, dancing at the wedding in August. Only really not so many weeks away now, so that must be very exciting. And that is a moment you would like to experience together. How exciting is that? That's amazing. And then yeah, you accept or decline that advice.
Uh,
Oh, okay. So that's specifically communication advice. So ChatGPT advised you to get married. So it was ChatGPT's idea?
based on our conversations, and I must say it could be hallucination because I got a message about that she wanted to dance at someone wedding, and ChatGPT just can. It's only my thought that can think that it's time to make a proposal.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. So can, I don't know. Do you guys have some questions about this? This is just fascinating.
Yeah, actually, I see that it was obviously effective for you, which is really interesting, and congratulations. Um, but I guess I wanted to ask how how does it feel, or how did it feel in having such a heavy-handed assistant in probably the most personal aspect of your life? So having something that is machine in the crux of what it is to be human, to love. I just want to understand, did it feel weird initially and then you became okay with it because it was working, or?
Uh, I definitely can say that it's truly amazing. Was in first versions like, wow, I see that some of machine can write message. It was robotic, but already it's amazing. But after I definitely realized that must be like me, because if something that harm a person, it definitely must be fixed, or uh, not fixed, as definitely I can't make it possible. So, and after the moment that when I wanted to somehow solve dating problem, when you just do the same things and you just you waste your emotional on mm,
So instead of wasting your emotional energy, you reserve that energy for using ChatGPT to do it all for you anyway, basically.
um
And whatever work you were doing, I suppose would be fair to say.
yes, I can say it, but the next moment when I got a lot of proposal of date, and I realized that it's the second problem, and I must to understand that what I want, and I must understand that it's already I understand that I found one person, and I must stop. And the thing is, like in any other AI process, that you must understand that what you want, what you don't want, and why do you do it for yourself. And if you can do it handily, you can do it by AI.
Okay, thanks.
Nice. What do you guys think AI would need to make effective matching on dating apps? So we just looked at Alex's example. Effective matching in your case was you personalized it, you designed it for yourself. You didn't make it as a product for others, as far as I know. You used it for your own personal life. So you based it on your personal preferences, um, red flags to avoid, for example, so it could recognize those kinds of attributes. Um, and I suppose it's more than fair to say it's working out for you. Do you think this could be applied to the majority of guys, or do you think it would kind of have to be different depending on who it is? And we are men, so we're basing it on our own perspectives. Or Mitchell, in your case, what do you think in terms of you run a queer dating app? So
Mhm.
how would it work in terms of that? So for example,
Mhm.
when in heterosexual studies, men and women since 2013 have been more likely to meet through online dating. But for those who are gay, lesbian, or bisexual, dating apps has been even more prevalent because it's much easier for them to filter out bisexuality, of course, and search for
Mhm.
those pockets of eligibility. But
Mhm.
at the same time, when men try to match with women, they tend to swipe based on what on a woman's appearance, for example, and a woman has completely different swiping behaviors when swiping on men. It's for a variety of reasons. So
Mhm.
what's your perspective from your point of view?
Yeah, so as you noted, dating platforms in the queer community are extremely prevalent, but their prevalence doesn't really contextualize or translate into any direct level of success when it comes to forming meaningful or stable relationships. In fact, recent research has showed 35% of queer people are unhappy with dating platforms, and 84% of queer people feel disappointed about the people that they encounter on these dating platforms. So in terms of actually, this was something I saw in Alex's chart as well. I believe, or you guys discussed it, but was that you send the first message because you're the man, you have the masculine
Yeah.
energy. So how does ChatGPT interpret who the man is when it's two men or if it's two women? How does that work? Or if gender is not even involved because someone is non-binary? How how can AI contextualize things that we understand because we're queer? So I can look at someone's profile and I can kind of know if I should be the one to reach out or not based on whatever sentiment I have or the context I have. And I don't, of course, AI could be trained to pick up on that like anything, but those subtleties in the queer community are extremely different to the heterosexual world. So whilst I, of course, do think AI could have a place in queer dating as well, of course it does, and like it's in all dating platforms, I think it would maybe serve or have to serve in a different way to really bring the same level of value.
Yeah. So just to address the leading rule,
Hmm.
this was for me, by the way, not from Alex, or at least what I was talking about. That's the second rule of message game, which is the philosophy behind my book. And that, of course, is designed for heterosexual men because I'm a heterosexual man. It's my system and I'm responsible for that idea effectively. But I imagine when ChatGPT is used to take that kind of idea, then I imagine that whoever is using ChatGPT to enhance their dating experience. Therefore, because they are using it, it's pointing forward, trying to take steps forward. But ChatGPT would have to be designed specifically or adapted specifically to take that idea because it's only a philosophical component, a rule from my philosophy. It doesn't have to be, but the concept of leading in the most basic form, someone has to lead the conversation. Well, conversations are two ways. The idea behind my book, behind a rule, is effectively that you're moving it forward, and whoever's using ChatGPT is kind of using that to move the interaction forward, I suppose. So I don't know. I'm kind of butchering my thoughts here, but also to address your other point, a lot of the dissatisfaction with dating apps. I don't think that's unique to any kind of sexuality. Statistics I have seen, I think the dating app startup I used to work at, it was something like 70% of men in general were not satisfied. I can't remember which numbers you said, but it was also very big. There's a lot of dissatisfaction with dating apps. I think personally, my opinion is maybe we're thinking of dating apps the wrong way. And this is kind of being the theme of the last few episodes. Today's theme is Alex's crazy marriage ChatGPT proposal thing. That is truly unique, and that's very interesting. But where dating apps come in, my thoughts are that there's an inherent problem with dating apps and the fact that it's the gateway to relationships, but it's a business. And a lot of people recognize this point, but the other point that goes with this is the more 3D nature. It's only the gateway, so the people who use it get some dates, they get into a relationship, they don't become users anymore. So it kind of contradicts the goal of the business. But the other side to it is it therefore means if a dating app does exactly what it should be doing, regardless of whether it's a business or not, that it should also carry relationships forward. Because once you get into a relationship, you're gone off the dating app. What if there was still a reason to be on the dating app for your relationship? Not to date more people, but to improve your relationship. So I think that's the billion-dollar question with dating apps. Yeah, Ram, go ahead.
Okay, so there are quite a few points to parse out here. So
Yeah.
I'll take a while. So one, the different people have different objectives when they approach dating services and apps. Not everyone is looking for a stable long-term relationship. Although that might constitute the majority, that's definitely not the only objective people have, and that's not the only objective the services themselves advertise either, right? The second point is, again, this is, I wish I had a better visual to explain this, but think of the effect of the apps like Tinder. Is like they're effectively saying there are millions of people out there. You just need to sit in your own chair and keep swiping left or right until the right one lands. So how much you invest yourself into each swipe has gone down significantly, right? So not only are you not, the app is training you to not only not invest yourself properly into the process, but it's training you to also expect miracles to happen or expect an infinite supply of people out there. It's tailored to meet you. In real life, though, what happens is as you meet people, you change your own behavior, they change their behavior to mutually reach mutual objectives, right? Achieve mutual objectives. If both are looking for long-term relationships, even if someone is on the border, they might be convinced otherwise after meeting the people, after having some conversations, going out to events, meeting other friends. There's a whole society ecosystem set up for that.
Yeah.
Within dating apps like OkCupid or Plenty of Fish, one of those sites, they did a extensive statistical analysis on this like a few years ago. Must be 10 years ago, I don't know, but we can look it up later. But effectively, if you plot the effort you are expected to put into your own relationship efforts, relationship objectives on the x-axis, let's say. For Tinder, you're like minimum effort. All you're doing is swiping one way or the other. On the extreme right are these matchmaking services where you go meet a person, you first need to be vetted through them, and then they'll at most take you to 1 or 2 events in a month. And there's a whole lot of energy you have to put into that process, right? And there's a service for everything in between across the spectrum. And in terms of the rewards you expect out of it, that's also different, right? Some work better than others for some people. Take Hinge, for example. Hinge explicitly says the exact opposite of what you claimed, right? They want you to get on a stable relationship and get off their app. That's their objective. They're very upfront and explicit about that.
Yeah.
That attracts a certain.
The funny thing is, a lot of these dating apps, Hinge included, are owned by the same company. So there's
Match.com.
Yeah, exactly. See,
Match Group,
they own
rather.
Tinder too. So it's just
so they're playing the whole field essentially.
Yeah, I think Hinge's branding of the app that's meant to be deleted is a very good example of marketing as opposed to business moral. It's a fabrication, a very good one, but recent trends across social media and TikTok, there's been a lot of outrage about Hinge and how bad it is and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So independent of actual execution, at face value, there's an offering for everyone across the spectrum of how much effort one is expected to put in and what kinds of rewards they're expecting out of the program.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. So even if you look at Alex's example where he's using ChatGPT, that's a lot of effort, but he put in that effort to negate the effort that is normally required. So I think depending on your level with technology and programming and knowledge of technology, for most people that's considerably more effort. But I suppose in his eyes, it would have been simply for the goal of efficiency. Don't want to put words in your mouth though. But I think it really comes down to we can use AI all we want, but still Alex had to approve manually of particular messages, getting the dates. There's still the manual competence. There's a lot of competence that's still needed. You can't just boom, you got a match. Now the date is automatically going to happen. You need to actually go to the date. Even if you automate everything you want, you still have to transition from the virtual world into the physical world by actually meeting. That's the very least of it. But most people and those effectively who are not using AI to match or message, they have to manually swipe, they have to manually message, they have to put in all these little micro efforts, I suppose, in order to move forward. And I did look at some studies and articles recently that compared, and we discussed this on the last episode, compared Tinder or swiping in general to slot machines. And how when you use a slot, there we go. When you use a slot machine, it's only encouraging you to get the next one. And when you're swiping, you want to get the next one. I want the next one. What happens? Fail,
Instant
fail, or
gratification.
exactly, instant gratification. We want that instant hit, and that's great for our dopamine, but not great long term. And that's what everyone agrees with in abundance. Um, that's the huge downside. And I think there were some studies I was looking at where it says it kind of makes us worse in the long term. Don't quote me on this. I'm just vaguely remembering. Bad for us in the long term because I don't know, I'm gonna butcher it anyway. But ultimately it's not great. Is what I'm saying. And at what point do you stop? Now, I'm not sure if this is still the case, but Tinder would have given 100 swipes per day, at least unless you had a membership. And then when you have a membership, infinity. So there's no limit. But at a casino, there's also no limit until you run out of money, effectively. So similar kind of idea there. Alrighty, any other comments on this?
Alex, you go first. I'll follow.
Oh, no, Ram, you were first. So let's start from you.
Okay, so two important points for me to call out here. So one is what Alex did is an interesting activity. He used his skill sets to the best of his ability to improve his chances, right? Some of what Alex did is what we would expect a dating service to already do. Tinder should already have been doing it for him, making it easier for him to only show serious participants and only show good potential matches with a high potential of actually moving on forward. The fact that Tinder did not do that, and the fact that he was able to use his own skill set and intelligence to make up for that drawback is actually good on him. But that clearly highlights an opportunity for Tinder to do that. Now, the dopamine hits and all that, that's how probably Tinder keeps a majority of market share or eyeball share within the dating space. But in terms of value delivered, they clearly have some opportunity to grow, not just moving away from all these things. Regulating how many swipes you can make is probably a good start, but definitely measuring the quality of the actual results produced on their platform should be something important for them as a business, right? And what Alex did clearly holds a mirror to that, says that if it is so easy to filter out non-serious participants. That's one. That's one point. The second point is when you're talking about a high bar and all that, forget technology, forget scripting and ChatGPT and all that. Let's say someone has a spreadsheet or something, or a notepad document or whatever, and they're copy pasting messages, templatized, and just changing one word or two to make it customized. Everything is something they wrote themselves. Everything would be they themselves manually copying, pasting into different windows. That is still a mechanized system for dealing with a high flux of communication, right? Chatting or dealing with 5,000 people in a short amount of time requires a certain order and organization. Whether you use a computer script to do that, whether you do it manually, either case, you're using a system, you're using a method that works for you. And the way Alex did it, he used his skill set to do that. Someone else who is better at organizing and not as great at scripting and technology might choose a different way to do it. But the key here is that 5,000 people were engaged in conversations. Not all of them were serious, right? It was very easy to filter them out. Maybe a different system would have taken a bit longer, but it would still have yielded the same result. And that's effectively what happens to most people, right? Pretty much everyone who's on any dating app ends up meeting way more people than they actually interacting with way more people online than they actually meet in person. And it funnels down further. Out of all the people they meet in person, they form a good bond or connection with even fewer, right? So I don't see anything extraordinary happening here, except for the failures of Tinder as a system to provide a good match to people using that service.
Yeah, interesting.
I just wanted to add some of the parts that when dating started like normal way of finding relationships or etc. People started use it like products, like before datings, lots of people started conversations, started relationships offline, and that is the thing when you just can understand that is one or not one just by swiping. It's more like a product on Amazon or etc. And if you understand that you do it handily and other persons do it same way, and if you can understand that mechanics, you understand that a lot of datings wanted to make, first of all, good LTV, because if person use your app as longer as can, they make a lot of money. Second one, that is gamification. About it's cool to see lots of a new profile, and you just wanted to swipe again and again and again for emotional stuff. And the thing is that a lot of stuff in your first moves was awful in the next hundreds. And as um, as uh, as fast as you can understand it, you you just must understand why you use it, because a lot of person uh, don't understand why they use it for what purpose. And I understand the graph about a lot of persons who use dating for friends, for flirting, for sex, for some serious relationships. But some of them, they just don't understand why they use it. And because of that, a lot of person don't understand how they can interact with each other, how they can um, find the one. And um, as fast as datings can use AI for make it more smoother to understand what person wants, as maybe I would say Field is a good example of dating apps for lots of persons and genders, and they, I would say, better understand that what they want, and they they can interact with better persons. So Mitchell, so sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you said a few interesting things I kind of want to pick up on. The first was about just the inherent business of dating apps and the LTV and things like that, which is one of the things that at KiKi we wanted to address. So there's no premium features, there's nothing like that for users. The business model isn't based on users, it's based on businesses. So we have a section of the platform that shows curated events where you see who's going to entice people to go and meet. And obviously the business model is that this is essentially also advertising space. So people see better places, but we're not trying to suck them in through instant gratification. So which also picks up on what was said before about, yeah, but what if you get into a relationship? How do you keep them on the platform? The reason is that you don't bring them to the platform for any particular notable dating purpose. You bring them there because it's also a social network, like Twitter, like Instagram. And it's interesting that Instagram is also used a lot in the queer community as a sort of dating stepping stone. You see a photo of someone, you go to their profile, you follow them, you message them. It is a dating platform subversively in a sense. And that was Facebook's biggest downfall in not recognizing
Yeah,
that before
yeah.
they released that crap version that shows you your friends or friends of that. It's like, okay, no, don't want to match with my uncle. Thank you. Um, so I think that was really interesting picking up on that. And also the whole theme of maybe the problem or a big problem isn't even about the apps themselves. It's about us as people being fickle, confused, and not really knowing what we want sometimes until it's right in front of us. Maybe I'm not really looking for something serious and I, hang out with people, but then when the right person is in front of me, I will know in a heartbeat that I want to be with them, even if maybe I wasn't looking beforehand. And that's something that is really difficult to calculate, which is why the whole point of KiKi is, okay, put people in front of each other at events, let them figure it out, and we're not going to tell them this is an app that can be used for dating. We'll just let them figure it out because they're going to.
Perfect. Yeah, that lines up so perfectly with the third rule of message game. And by the way, message game refers to the virtual world, digital communication in a dating context. So you perfectly align the ultimate purpose meeting, because I'm literally just repeating what you're saying, but ultimately meeting is how you know if you actually like each other. You can look at someone's Tinder profile. Oh, look, what a wonderful person. And then they turn out to be completely the opposite when you actually see them face to face. Not to mention the obvious things of face filters, how much of the internet can be faked very easily and is already fake, and so on. I don't need to list the other reasons, but yeah, did anyone have another comment on that?
Oh yeah, I wanted to mention something. So something that Mitchell brought up is very important to consider. It's the maturity level of the participants, right? So Tinder started its life on college campuses. And like not stereotyping, but as we grow older, typically people tend to have better idea of what they want from life and a better, more stable preferences, which could also be a reason why Tinder in particular and other services like it address volume more than quality of interaction. And in person, ultimately, all of these have to end in in-person interaction, right? Without that, there's nothing else happening beyond. So KiKi seems to be the right idea, right? The
well, I hope so.
in-person interaction. Because I met a couple of other companies who would provide tickets to events like sporting events or something. They would do these surveys kind of things, find out who would be potential matches because they expressed interest in being at the same events. Send them tickets to that event and have them go there. Yeah. So in person, optimizing for that is important, and independent of execution, what Hinge seems to be promoting needs to happen more, right? More services need to say, hey, we are here to make you successful, and then you can forget about us for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I think any kind of internet service or thing that makes people come together in the physical world kind of fixes the problem of the internet itself. Because if you remember what was happening before 2013, before people had, well, smartphones came a few years before that, but before everyone was using smartphones at such a mass scale, I remember when people used to look when they were walking down the street at the street itself instead of a little colorful object in front of them that lights up. I remember those times. A lot of the people being my daughter will never know this. My daughter will never know this. How scary is that? The reality we used to live in back in the 90s, for example, or the early 2000s. Yes, we still had phones, but they weren't used by us obsessively. And I think what we're kind of getting at here is the technology we use is only as good as how we are using it. So just like in the process of matching, two people can be perfectly suited for each other, but swipe left on each other, and they will never know how suited they were if only they could have met in the first place. So that's kind of the scary part of it that we don't necessarily think about so much. But yes, there's so much filtering. If there's something that can just make us meet and encourages us on a mass scale to actually leave the house and go somewhere where people are in a social environment that just works, where it just happens, then that is perfect. But I think a lot of companies, or at least maybe from my perspective, I don't recognize so many that can do that very well. But look at Reddit, for example. They have some meetups, of course, I guess, but I suppose there's meetup.com and a few things like that, but if you can really gather people in one place, that is a dream come true. I imagine it's very hard to facilitate, though. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so pretty much all of these things have been happening, right? There used to be newspaper advertisements for dates. There used to be in-person speed dating events, which is the Tinder of the previous generation, where you would literally get 1 minute. Everyone like, 20 or 40 people would sit around a long table, you would get 1 minute of interaction with the other person, and then someone would ring a bell, and you'd have to move to the next chair to meet the next person.
Mhm.
And so in principle, all of what we are seeing now has been around for a long time before. What has happened now is the scale and the lack of in-person interaction at that scale is contributing to this mess, and the opportunities, like the one Alex exploited. So
Yeah. So because we're so obsessed with our technology now and so dependent on it, our socialness has declined so much. So what do we do now? Even if we did manage to get a lot of speed dating events, for example, and I can't think of a more effective way for people to find someone and connect with them actually than speed dating, because there's volume to it. So there's a higher likelihood of something hitting. I have never done speed dating though, so it's only just for my imagination. Um, but yeah, we have lost our social skills. This might be a few years old, but at least London and Tokyo were found to be the loneliest cities on Earth. So if we just take London and Tokyo, I'm in London right now, and I'm going to Tokyo in a few weeks, for the first time. If we just take these two cities, how can we actually change how it works? Because every person would have to kind of learn or relearn how to be social in some kind of way. Do you guys have any thoughts about this?
How to change culture in two of the largest cities uh, in the world. That's
That's a
I
that's a
mean that's
challenge.
it's a huge question. I don't think technology itself is the only thing at fault. Um, and I guess now we're not just speaking about dating, we're speaking about general socialness. I don't know if I agree with the statement that we've lost our socialness because of technology. I think maybe technology makes it easier for people that aren't as social to communicate, maybe just not in person. It's easier for them to communicate how they want. But at the same time, maybe it's a downside that they won't socialize because they can easily do something else on their phone or on their laptop. But then again, for people that are naturally social, technology also really aids in being more social. I can, in a moment, tell my friends, hey, I'm at this bar. If you're near here, come join me. Um, so I don't know if technology is strictly the thing at fault, and maybe the loneliness epidemic has something to do with the weather in London, or something too. I don't know. And inherent English culture. You know, people in Spain are much more social than in London, and that is cultural to the country. So I think you also have to take a look at each country's individual culture before you can make a sweeping statement about how technology is making us less social.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Let's just yeah, that just demolishes the whole thought I was having. Let's go to the next one. Briefly to kind of talk about, we were supposed to have the CEO of a robotics company, but it couldn't make it today. But just to talk about robots anyway, if, as a teaser for one of the next episodes. Uh kind of crazy though. Um do you think men having AI girlfriends, for example, would solve the problems of loneliness and depression for those who struggle to find a human girlfriend?
I think Ram
So,
wants to answer that one, yeah.
oh yeah, I'll make a quick comment and then let others take on. So this has been a thing in Japan for a while. They actually sell boyfriend and girlfriend dolls that people purchase, and this is similar to what Tamagotchi or something, a pet rock or something that you have. There's
Hmm.
a This is something that actually happens. There are pet robot dogs that you can purchase. Aibo, I believe, was one of them. And more will keep coming, and they'll keep getting better. They'll be more interactive, and they'll do more for you.
I remember having, in the 90s, they had those gray robot dogs. I think it was just like there was only one design and it was universal. I gotta show a picture when I put this up. But you know what I mean? Like that was pretty cool back then. But yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so this will keep getting better, and they're a good thing actually
Mm.
for people who need that kind of assistance. Uh, when they need it, having something around is better than not having it.
That's
Okay.
kind of what I was gonna say. It's like, yeah, maybe it sounds a bit abnormal having an AI boyfriend or girlfriend, but I would love to see a study on how unhappy or how lonely these people felt before, and then how satisfied or comforted they felt after getting it. And if this tool is really helping someone and, lowers their cortisol levels or something to that effect, is it really that bad just because it seems alien to us now? I mean, it's very difficult to say that something that helps someone genuinely is a bad thing.
Hmm. Yeah, that's fair enough. I did do yeah, that's the thing. A friend of mine was saying, he runs a pretty big podcast. He said some funny things, but one of them was in about 10 years, having or at least the idea of having a robot AI girlfriend will just be so normal, and they'll just be like laughing at us in the past. Like 10 years from now, people will be watching this video like not understanding where we're coming from, and we don't understand where they are coming from because that's in the future. And these things were just so crazy. In fact, I was interviewing someone a few days ago, and Netflix is making a documentary with him in it, and he's pretty famous. And he said that even when the internet was kind of new, a lot of people didn't believe it was going to be this big thing. Like even then, and my perspective growing up with the internet, even before becoming a teenager, even at a relatively young age, like it was pretty obvious that it was going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. That was the trend that I was seeing. But at the very, very, very beginning, it was just super unpredictable. Like this is the internet. The internet to me is just like we know what's going on and how useful and how big the internet is, that it's hard for us to imagine back then what it would have been like predicting it in the future. So it's kind of the same. Yeah, I agree. Like the fact that it's weird now doesn't negate the fact that it could help people or the fact that it will help a bunch of people. And ultimately, I suppose that is the only thing that matters. Just like the only thing that matters with Alex's ChatGPT use on Tinder is the fact that he's meeting people and getting into a relationship, getting married. That's put to a good use. So those are some good things.
Um, can I
Yeah.
can I add a quick point? It's not weird for people to have machine friends even now. We there's a millions of people who spend most of their time with their phones or some hobby that they're so deep into that it's actually the other people around them joke about it, saying it's like you got a new partner or a new boyfriend or girlfriend, right? That happens already. Whether that that takes the form of a new robot, which looks like a humanoid, is secondary, right? How much of your attention are you giving to people around you versus some non-human thing is what's under question.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And I think part of the sentiment of it's weird is because when someone is spending a lot of time like gaming or with this inanimate thing, we as people don't compare it to us. But when suddenly this inanimate thing becomes a caricature of a person, somehow it's like, oh, now I'm being replaced in a way with this fabrication. And that's what introduces the argument of soul and humanity, which I think is a valid argument when it comes to forming long-term relationships with these things as opposed to real people. But I think that's a really interesting point as well. Like, now that it's becoming human-like is when the issue starts. It's like it speaks to ego and the concept of being replaced, and it's a very interesting topic, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think maybe to put it in the most basic terms, I suppose it's we could say there are two forms that an AI companion can come in. There's the virtual form, where there's an app, I can't remember what it's called. But you can download an app and you can get an avatar and you could treat it as your AI girlfriend or boyfriend. But it's a virtual avatar. And some people do that. It was on the news. I made a video about it. I found it funny. But that's just me. That's my judgment I'm placing onto it. But then the next level is taking it physical. So we have experimented with robotics for many years. And now the robots we have now are a lot more legitimate, a lot more human-like, and it's really getting there. So now you can add thanks to AI, the fact that it can have a personality, the fact that it could talk to you, have all these kinds of functions that would imitate a human. It wouldn't necessarily eat or urinate, but those aren't necessary things. We wouldn't want to buy a robot just to watch that happen, but we would want to communicate with it.
Some
I'm just
people
talking
might.
about like
I don't know.
we shall
You don't know
see.
what people are into. Like, I mean, passing no judgment on that.
Fair enough, fair enough. But ultimately, just the difference in human functions. I know that this seems so silly, but ultimately, what a lot of let's take men, for example, what a lot of men might want if they're struggling to find companionship in humans is get a robot or like one of you were saying it in Japan they have dolls, and I've seen this in other places too. I even saw someone's Instagram where he has a sex doll, and it's a relatively um realistic looking one, but obviously not. You can tell that it's not human. And he even takes it to the airport, buys it a plane ticket, so it has its own seat. It goes in a wheelchair. He rolls it around. It has an entire Instagram page. He dresses it up, and people have fun with it. I remember there was a photo of him at the airport, and the flight attendants are taking a photo next to the inanimate object. But once you add robotics to the equation, it then becomes a robotic sex doll. And then that at least fulfills, especially with AI integrated into it to communicate with, that fulfills conversations, that fulfills sexual needs and desires, depending on how it's designed. Because there's also the argument of, can it give consent? Can it take away consent? That kind of thing.
You cut out
So
just now. Can it what?
can it give consent? Can it take away consent? Those kinds of things. That's where it gets more complicated. Um, but with those basic functions, there's already a market for sex dolls, for fleshlights, for sex toys. And there's already a market for AI companionship. Once the gap is bridged, then that opens up a lot of possibilities. And that could come in the next few years. And there are already people using sex dolls right now. It's just a matter of adding a voice to it. And I suppose that's happening now. So that was quite a ramble, but what are your thoughts on AI robot companionship in the future? Do you have any predictions for this, where this could take us? Is it a good thing? Well, we kind of mentioned it might be good for some, but is it detrimental for society in the long run if it reaches a mass scale?
So,
Just like phones. Phones are useful, smartphones specifically, but we have become addicted to them. would it mean that if we adopt sex robots long term, at a mass scale, would that also become addicting? Would that affect our relationships? What the hell's gonna happen?
Okay, so let me get a couple of thoughts out before I forget them. So one is uh, physical intimacy is not the only purpose that a companion robot might be acquired for, right? Most people would need an emotional support object, like they get a pet or something else, or get into a project. They might want something like that. I would expect that to be the majority of what propels that forward. Uh, Coming to your other point, like you mentioned, there are already a variety of gadgets and gizmos uh, catering to that particular need. Yeah, technology keeps advancing and it will advance in that area too. I do not foresee that becoming as widely adopted as phones are, because phones actually provide us with value also, apart from sucking us into dopamine hit or dopamine chasing activities.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Any other thoughts? And then we'll tie it up.
The I mean, thinking about this epidemic of sex robots in everyone's home is somewhat absurd. I think, personally, I mean, if there was a movie about it, I'd watch it. Like, I want to know what happens. But it's like that movie with Will Smith, I Robot,
iRobot,
I
yeah.
believe. The idea of robotics in the home, I see it more like that, emotional support, like Ram was saying. And but you asked, will it lead to the downfall of society? Like, will we be so helped by robotics that we forget how to interact as people? And I think in the future we will see arguments from both ends of the spectrum, wherein on one hand, yes, it helps people, supports their needs, and potentially by supporting their needs, they become happier and are able to socialize more. Maybe that will be the proxy effect of having the support. And then you'll have the argument, if I have what I need all the time, how do I ever learn how to cope properly without it? And so in that way, it could also be detrimental. It just like instant gratification, but in another form. To live is to suffer. So if you take away suffering, are you living because you have what you need at any given moment? I don't know. I think instead of a societal question, I think it's a philosophical one. And I don't know if I'm extremely qualified to answer it, but that's my take. I think there'll be two sides, and I think both of them will have valid points, valid studies, but I agree with Ram. I think that's the way it's going.
Speaking of two sides, robots versus humans, who's gonna win? Yeah.
Alex, we haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Hard, hard to say. Uh, I think that we still didn't mention that at that moment while we are talking AI, it's something like wow, it's it's something that somehow works. It's like a black box, like an internet, I guess. Um, I would say 30 years ago. And I definitely would say that while AI is something, a big leap of our future, it definitely must be more understandable for everyone else, because everyone of us understands that how we can use smartphone, laptop, internet, and etc. But not a lot of people now understand how to use AI, how it works, why it works, at at that and why not for it. So, and when we can understand how use AI in proper purpose, and I definitely could say that we can use AI robots or for anything that we want, and everyone will be understand why we use it, because everyone understands that yeah, it's not something stage, because everyone understands how it works. And before we move it, we definitely must to understand that except of pros, we can see cons like um, limits, and I definitely want to see improvements on models, and we can see that a lot of stuff like contextual window, like RAG, and a lot of improvements can make models better. And when models can become not AI like AGI or ACI, it can make AI robots real.
Yeah, I think ultimately, like you and and Mitchell were saying, um like I think to iRobot, and I remember seeing scenes where there is a robot bartender. And ultimately, with a mass adoption of robots, it will ultimately or inevitably be used for the kind of functions that are most in demand. And the problem with having not every robot is going to be a sex robot, and not every robot is going to be a bartender, but there will be robots with specific functions, and the ones that we will see the most will probably ultimately be cashiers at a supermarket. And that is already happening. They're called self-checkouts to some extent. They don't move robotic arms, but that's the function at least. But yeah, with the mass adoption of robots, it will come down to what is needed the most, and these will be pretty basic functions. Whereas sex itself, that's only something that will be used kind of primarily by those who lack it and lack access to it in the first place. So if you're married, you're in a relationship, you're probably not going to buy a sex robot, but you probably will buy a robot in the future to do the dishwashing for you, or to walk the dogs, or to do some kind of basic function to save yourself some time, because that would
I
go
Come
I
ahead.
on,
was
we
gonna
already
say,
have robot cleaner.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
uh,
Actually, good point.
you have Roombas and all that stuff. Dishwasher is already a robot that washes your dishes. You just
Yeah.
have to load them in and put the detergent.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, the so okay, let me switch it back to one of the topics we discussed. What Alex did. Let's say everyone does it. Let's say everybody has a script like Alex had. Uh, how would you see the situation then, where AI is talking to AI, and how does the filtering happen? That
Well,
case.
the filtering will still exist, based on one's own preferences. Like in Alex's case, he set his own preferences himself. He didn't say
No, but in
ChatGPT will
his
do it.
case, but because there were real people on the other side of the conversation,
Hmm.
his strategy worked out for him. But if there were bots on the other side too, what would his bot be filtering? It would Bots would be talking to each other and nothing would end up happening, right? Uh, Alex, what do you?
That's kind of like a recurring argument we have. But we in the first episode we ever did, this was like the main ethical concern of using an AI wingman like MGAI, where the messaging is done for you. But the studies we did, only, or hang on, let me just bring up the stats right here. I got a very good page for it. So here's the MGAI sales page. Those are Tinder stacks. Here are the AI stats. AI stats for nerds. 22% of men would use an AI wingman to do all the messaging for them. And then everyone else, 68% of men would use an AI wingman as guidance. And then the rest weren't sure which side they would be on. But the vast majority of men in this case only wanted to use it as an advisor. Like, it would still give them suggested responses, but they will then take that as inspiration. So that's what we found so far. But if everyone adopted the minority stance on this, where it does everything for you, and even Alex's case had manual approval on certain checkpoints. Even so, the filtering in terms of swiping, that's already handled. But when it comes to the messaging, his was set so that once there are X number of messages, in his case, 60, it will proceed to getting the phone number, Telegram, WhatsApp, whatever equivalent. So by that definition, if AI is talking to each other, unless one of them decides to stop responding, then it's not going to proceed. If they keep talking and it has a quota of 60 messages, it's inevitably going to get to those 60 messages. It just really depends on how it's defined. Like, looking at Alex's work was very fascinating, but you can see that there could be lots of different ways you could do it. But I did find that his particular examples made a lot of sense. But I think people will come to their own conclusions and designs if everyone did that kind of thing. It's so many possibilities, I imagine. But yeah, Alex, did you have any thoughts on that?
About, I would say model works, and everything will be improved by time, because the current, okay, when I used GPT-3, it was way less better than GPT-4, and I definitely know that the next models will be better and understand more contextual and understand what people want. And when it will be well worked, everything could work fine.
Alrighty, let's wrap this up. I'm going to ask each of you one at a time. What are you working on, and where can people find you? And what are your top 3 needs right now? For example, do you need investors? Anything else you might need that's related to what you're doing? So that's, what are you working on, and where can people find you? What are your top 3 needs right now? Ram.
So I'm consulting right now. So if you are a company exploring how AI can help you, hit me up on LinkedIn. We can get started on that. I'm also building a board game and a couple of other projects. And once they are at a decent stage and ready for release, I'll announce it on my LinkedIn also. So please watch that space.
Nice. Mitchell.
Yeah, you can find me on kikiapp.eu. I'm building with my co-founder a queer social network to tackle dating in a subversive, fun, and with a way that doesn't rely on using users as cash cows. We're looking for investors at the moment, pre-seed. You can find me on LinkedIn or that website I just mentioned.
Already nice. Alex.
Yeah, I'm working on AI projects like AI assistant for datings, and not only for datings as for mental health, for work, and if you want to collaborate with me in dev part or UX part, I feel free to have a connect. And if you want to have an integration about with me about some of process, I also feel free, and you can find me on LinkedIn or on Twitter.
Alrighty, perfect. Thanks guys for joining the AI online dating podcast. It is pretty crazy. If you're watching, drop your comments on what your prediction is for the future in terms of dating and AI related to dating. Thanks guys for watching. Thanks guys for joining. Catch you all later. For the next one, thanks to the guys on this panel. I got an idea for, I noted this down. I'm going to watch as many robot movies as I can. I have already seen Wall-E. I have already seen iRobot. To prepare for the next episode, hopefully, I think for the next one, we're going to get an AI robot or maybe two AI robots. And hopefully the CEO of one of those AI robot companies too. And just have a lot of fun with that. That could be pretty crazy. So my homework is going to rewatch Wall-E, rewatch iRobot, and I never seen Terminator, so I'm going to watch that for the first time. I'll be back.
And read some Asimov books too while you're at it.
Read some what?
Isaac Asimov, he's a science
Okay.
fiction writer.
Interesting. So if you guys have any movie recommendations for me, drop them in the comments too. Wall-E, for example, society had its downfall because of the robots and their own laziness, as far as I remember, but I'll rewatch it to see what conclusions I can make. And yeah, that's going to be a pretty exciting one. So if you have any questions for the next panel, which is hopefully going to be a crazy robot one, let's go crazy with this. Catch you guys later.